I will always remember the date, January the 19th, 2019, where I sang for the first time publicly. The only problem is that I couldn't really sing. It was my older brother's birthday, his milestone birthday, and we wanted to create a celebration, a special celebration for him. And so a year before, I decided that I wanted to sing a song for him. The only problem with that is that my brother is an accomplished musician. He has performed for the past 40 years. He's a barrister and a musician, has had several groups, and has written several songs. In any event, one day he came to my home really excited about 10 years ago. And he said to me, Mort, I want you to listen to this song. I love this song. Anyway, I listened to it. And of all of the songs that he has written, it's my favorite song. And so I decided that for his birthday, I wanted to sing the song for him in front of my friends and family, which was no mean feat. And that's because I come from a family of performers. My daughter sings beautifully. My twin sister is a singer. My nieces sing. That was the room I was going into. And so singing in front of him, while excited about the prospect, scared me. But one evening while attending classes, and I'm doing the rehearsals with the coach, it hit me. I had a powerful epiphany about how this relates to business. And in the context of this talk, I'm going to talk about him almost as if he's a customer, even though I'm talking about my brother. There I was rehearsing, traveling across London twice a week to get better so that on the day I could perform this. It's almost as if a client had asked me to deliver something. It's the same thing in work. It's the same thing with work. Your client asks you to do something. They don't care and they're not really interested in how long it takes, how late you have to work, the anxiety and the stress that you experience in delivering that service. What is important is their outcome. When they engage you, they're interested in the result that you're going to help them to achieve. And that might be a new website. That might be because of a digital strategy that you've implemented, which means that they have more followers. That might be because the team is not working as great as they want them to. It might be that you have a better brand, many things. But the point is that the client is engaging you for the future that they're expecting to achieve. My name is Morton Pattterson, and I'm an expert in helping clients to know their value, in articulating and communicating their value. And I work with clients who struggle with doing that. But I have to tell you, it wasn't always that way. I used to turn up at clients and I wouldn't know what to say. I'd be more focused on the process. I'd be undercharging for my service. And it wasn't until a fateful Christmas when a couple of clients didn't pay me, and it was a painful Christmas at that I realized I had to do something. And then I went and I got some coaching and some help in terms of learning how to not only charge my service, but charge it based on value. Would it surprise you to know that many small business owners, many independent practitioners undercharged for their services? Would it surprise you to know that many small business owners and independent practitioners go to a client and they're not focused on the outcome, they're more focused on the methodology and the process and the strategy that they're going to apply, as opposed to how the client will benefit? And so I decided that I needed to introduce and create, and this is how I created the Know Your Value model, which we don't have enough time to talk about today, but it covers a number of stages that helps you to move from a place where what you're doing is you're going in and you're not really speaking to the client about how they would benefit at the end, and more about what you intend to do. So I had a client a couple of years ago who had invited me in to do a review of her team because they were underperforming and she was really unhappy with them. Nervously, I sent the report after I'd done the feedback, and I spoken to a number of their team. And when she received the feedback, she was incensed. She was mad because she felt that they were ungrateful. She felt that after all the things that she had done, she was also mad at me for providing this report. And while I was getting it in the air, I decided just to listen to her. And so I let her finish. And I said to her at the end, when we started working together, what was it that you really wanted? She says, I wanted them to feel empowered. I wanted them to use their initiative. I wanted them to align with the values and the ethos that we have in this business. I said, this is growing pains. My decision at that time was to take her back to why we were doing this in the first place. Instead of reacting to how the team were and taking it on board, I wanted her to focus on the end result. And that is why she had engaged me. And that is why they engage us. They engage us to help them to stay on track, not to be too caught up in our processes. So the Know Your Value model really covers things like the avatar, and we all, very many professionals like yourselves and myself, we're familiar with the avatar is about being clear on who you want to work with, getting clear on that. And the other one part of the Know Your Value model is crafting your offer, which is really around getting clear on the results that you help the client to achieve. Focusing on what it would have cost them to not work with you, focusing on the transformations as opposed to your methodology and your process. The other part of it is, the other part of the model is the mindset, which is the most important thing, because it's the little monkey in your shoulder that I think causes the most damage, causes the most destruction. He's in there when you're asleep, he's in there when you're waking up, telling you that you can't ask for this, you can't work for this kind of client. That is, I call it the most, someone called it the virus. I have sabotaged, and maybe you have several times, several opportunities, even though the client believed in me, I didn't believe in myself. And I've sabotaged several opportunities that came my way. So a couple of things with the model that helps you to focus on the outcome is the avatar, crafting your offer, thinking and looking at your beliefs. And an important part of it is the selling conversation. I think that the conversation that you have and the questions that you ask that engages the client helps them to believe in the future that you are selling. And that is that you must ask questions like, what is it worth to you if you were to able to do this? How will we measure that this is important to you and that you're getting what you say you want? I remember running a workshop a couple of years ago. Everything is pre-pandemic because, there's such a division. And a tax expert came to my workshop, and she was charging by the hour. And at the end of the workshop, I said, these are the questions that you should ask, and this is how you should approach it. And she went back, and she had a client that come to her, 2 clients, and where she was charging between 800 and 1,500 for developing a report, which took her 3 to 5 hours, she was able to ask them. And she said, I listened deeply to the questions that they had, and she increased the fees to 2,500. That's because of 2 things. She listened, and number 2, she had the courage to ask. The fourth one I'm going to talk about is packaging your offer. It is creating what I call a series of yeses, which Alan Weiss talks about. It isn't just presenting one offer to your client, but it's giving them a full understanding of what they want to achieve and giving them the options the ways in which they could achieve it. Give you an example. I had a client who came to me and she wanted me to do some work with her senior managers. One particular senior manager whom they felt was quite problematic. Just before the engagement started, she said yes, and just before the engagement started, the manager left. They phoned me up and said, I think we're going to take the lesser option because, the manager's no longer there and you're no longer going to need to be doing that part of coaching. I thought about it for a little while. I said, let me come back to you. And then I went back to her a day later. And I said, I don't actually think that you should downgrade this. because of this reason, because of that reason. And the reason why I'm telling you about this, packaging your solution, the reason why I'm telling you about this is because sometimes in helping the client to achieve their outcome, you have to have the courage to stand in your own knowledge and your expertise. You cannot be, I don't know, cowering to the fact that you think the client will disagree with you. You have to have the courage to do that. So packaging your offer, being clear on your mindset, crafting your offer, being clear on who you want to work with, and the conversations, which is the questions that you want to ask when you're in a meeting. I'm hoping I've got just enough time to share this last bit with you. I hope the story of my brother, which illustrates the thing around a family gathering, but actually looking at it as the end result, which allowed me to give my brother a memorable evening. It was, I'm going to tell you, a roaring success. I'm not going to be Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra anytime soon. I'm telling you that for free, okay? My family were happy. They were pleased. And I was relieved at the end of the evening because it was all over, yeah? But what actually happened was that 5 minutes was the most important thing. It's just the same for your clients. The end result is the most important thing. So don't get bogged down in your methodology, your process, or what you need to do. Keep clear and focused on what you want to do. So I want to end with this. At the end of any know your value, at the end of any intervention, it is how much your client has improved their situation. It is not your process. It's having the confidence and the courage to challenge the client when you disagree. It's having the courage to hold that client accountable because that's why they're paying you. It's having the courage to ask uncomfortable questions when you don't want to, but you have to. All of those things makes up knowing your value and helps you to focus on the outcome you want your client to achieve.